What's going on, freedom fighters? This is Attorney Gerald Griggs, the 13th president of the Georgia NAACP, and I'm coming to you with a very important announcement. As of yesterday, the state of Georgia has purged another 471,000 voters from the voter rolls. And this is important because, again, this underscores that voter suppression and voter uh, removal is very alive and well in Georgia. And you don't really hear a lot about this until after it happens. So I want to share with you some important information so you know what's happening in real time and you can push back and make sure that your voter status is still um, uh, okay. So, very little news coverage of this, but I want to bring to your attention some of the news that has covered it. So, Georgia finalizes cancellation for nearly 171,000 voter registration. This is a report from Fox 5 Atlanta. It talks about the process. So, in brief, nearly 141,000 Georgia registrations have been canceled this year. The state officials say the process is legal and protects election integrity. And of course, civil rights activists are pushing back. Secretary of State's office reviewed voter rolls focused on people who had moved or not voted in recent elections. What they're saying is people perish, move in state from state or just across the street. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger last month, we want to make sure we have accurate lists. State election director said that they're reaching out to each voter in question. Those people were on a 40-day clock, which ran out the past couple of days. State election director Blake Evans said, and at this point, those records for the people who do not respond to the mailer have been sent to cancellation status. So this is the tactic they've been using. They sent out the voter registration card if you haven't voted in 2 consecutive elections to your last known address. And if you don't respond, then you are purged. And so we want to give you a high level view of this. And so here is a high level view of the combination of the media reporting and digital sites that kind of show where we are as far as that. Let me stop sharing that screen. So, voter purges in Georgia, and here's what you need to know. Georgia has recently completed, as I said, mass removal of 471,000 inactive registrations was finalized yesterday. The state's routine process, which happens every 2 years, aims to remove voters who have moved or not participated in elections for several years. Here's a detail of the purge. The finalized count from state officials was 471,000 registrations after initial estimate of around 478,000. Approximately 5,500 of the voters responded to the mail notice to confirm their registration and were removed from the purge list. I need y'all to hear that number. 5,500 responded to the mail notice of over 478,000. We all know we've been having very serious issues with the mail service, so that's a very high level of not returns that is concerning. Reasons for removal: the purge targeted voters who have been in the inactive status and have had no contact with election officials for several years. Specifically, voters who do not vote in 2 consecutive federal election cycles become inactive under Georgia law, and they can be removed after 2 or more federal election cycles if they remain inactive. The process, Secretary of State stated that the process is compliant with both state and federal laws and aims to ensure accurate and secure voter rolls. That is still being questioned, and there are several lawsuits with regard to that. You can check your voter registration status by going to the mvp.sos.ga.gov site. And of course, there are various concerns been raised by the ACLU, Fair Fight, and of course, the Georgia State Conference of the NAACP. So we want to make sure that you check your voter registration status to make sure that you have not been purged. Again, 471,000 inactive registrations have been purged, and these purges will continue if we do not know the information in real time and we're not producing the re-registration. So I want to take you to the form where you need to go to fill out to make sure that your voter registration is active, because the way that you cure this particular purge is to re-register. Now, if you're in the inactive status, then you have to actually vote in an election and you become active again. But if you are in the inactive status, then you have to actually take an affirmative step to go to the My Voter page or to fill out a new voter registration form to make sure that you're registered to vote. But I want to take you to that page that you would go to make sure that your status. So here's the My Voter page. I'm gonna pull it up. So this is the My Voter page in Georgia. You would check your voter registration status by filling in your first initial, last name, the county, your date of birth, and then submit, and it would give you this information. Or if you're not currently registered, you can click here and register. We want to make sure that people understand that there is an active purge that has already happened and that they are removing 471,000 people from the voter rolls. These are people who some have moved within the state, some have moved out of state. Of course, you moved out of state, you can't register in Georgia. You can register in the state where you have moved to. But if you are still in the state of Georgia and have just moved within the state, you should be able to re-register and use your constitutional right to access to the franchise. And so we at the Georgia State Conference want to make sure that you are aware of these things that are happening in real time to make sure. Now, let's talk about who was actually removed. So who was removed? State official confirmed that of the 471,000 that were officially canceled on Friday, August the 22nd, that over 180,000 were identified as having moved out of the state. Moving within the state, 87,000 people filed a change of address with the U.S. Postal Service. And so those individuals had not been in contact with voter registration officials. And then there was 105,000 people who had no contact with with an election official for the last 5 years. And then there were 104,000 individuals who had their official election mail returned as undeliverable. So that's how you get to those numbers. The last three of them are very concerning. The 87,000 that filed a change of address form, the U.S. Postal Service, it should be real easy to get in contact with those individuals because they didn't move out of state. And then the 105,000 that had no contact with a voter election official. And again, the contact they're talking about is returning the postcard that was sent out in the mail. And then you have 104,000 that had their mail returned as undeliverable. And given the issues that we have been having with the United States Postal Service, it's very concerning that these individuals were removed. So you can go to the My Voter page here, check your status, first initial, last name, county, date of birth, click submit, and to make sure that you're registered. If you're not registered, click this registration tab here and make sure that you're re-registered. For those that have watched this entire video, I want you to do me a favor. One, check your voter registration status and make sure you check your voter registration status of all your family and friends, but also share this message widely so people understand, one, what is happening, two, how to fix the problem, and three, to be on alert for these tactics that are continuing to happen from the Secretary of State's office. And so I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs, president of the Georgia State Conference. We want to make sure that you stay active, that you stay registered, and you get ready to mobilize for the municipal races, which will be starting early voting in October, and then the actual election in November, and of course the Public Service Commission race that is the special election that will be in November as well, and then get ready for the midterms. So we will continue to bring you this information as it becomes available. I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs. If you're not already following the channels of the Georgia State Conference, please follow, and you can follow me on all social media at Attorney Gerald Griggs. Thank you.